if you've ever been told that your rejection of penal substitution or other evangelical doctrines means that you're rejecting the authority of the Bible, and or that your rejection of the authority of the Bible is based on emotional reasons or because you want to sin, this video is for you. Hello, I'm JC Lamont, and this is Deconstruct and Level Up. In this video podcast, we explore what we believe and why we believe it to ensure that it aligns with the historical faith passed down once for all and that it is exegetical according to the literal, grammatical, historical hermeneutic. So ask people in evangelical circles, what is deconstruction? And you get, deconstruction is of Satan. Deconstruction is, Jesus was the first deconstructionist. Martin Luther was the first deconstructionist. So it's widely misunderstood what deconstruction is. If we go with Michael Kruger's definition, then deconstruction is asking hard questions about whether the version of Christianity we are following is consistent with the scriptures or with historic Christian beliefs through the centuries. So that is the definition that we are going with. Because too often deconstruction is considered as synonymous with demolition. And demolition as in, I'm going to destroy evangelicalism, I'm not going to live in this building anymore, I'm going to completely demolish it and walk away. Okay, and then there's the people who are going to tell you that it's an emotional argument. And that if it's an emotional argument, it means that you checked your brain at the door. If it's an emotional argument, it's not logical. Because apparently for them, it's either emotional or logical. Just because there is an emotional component to the rejection of a doctrine does not mean that the rejection of that doctrine is not also logical, and or that the doctrine is not historical or exegetical. It can be, you can have an emotional reaction to a doctrine that slanders God's character, and a doctrine that slanders God's character is not historical and is not exegetical. It doesn't have to be one or the other. What's interesting is that there is a reason there is an emotional component to deconstruction. Deconstruction, the reason a person deconstructs is because of cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is the emotional discomfort that is felt from having two conflicting beliefs. So, in other words, you believing something illogical or internally inconsistent, and it creates an emotional reaction within you. And it's that emotional reaction that causes you to look at the doctrine and say, oh, this is why it's illogical. So now a lot of people, and through no fault of their own because they've not been taught how to deconstruct, that's enough, okay? I emotionally don't like this doctrine. I have now questioned the doctrine and realized that it is illogical for me to continue to believe these contradictory beliefs. So one of them has to go. And sometimes it's just that doctrine. And other times it's religion in general. Or conservative Christianity in general. Or, some big baby, throw the baby out with the bathwater type of response. Because we've not been taught how to deconstruct. We're taught, okay, Christianity should be historical. Christianity, so what we've been taught is genuine Christianity or true Christianity is historical Christianity. We've been taught that fact. Then we've been taught the fact that true Christianity should be exegetical. It should interpret scriptures through a literal, grammatical, historical hermeneutic. Then we've been taught evangelical doctrines are true. So, therefore, evangelical doctrines are true, and evangelical doctrines are a reflection of true Christianity, and true Christianity is historic and exegetical, then these doctrines must be historical and exegetical. End of story. We're done. That's what we've been taught. But we haven't actually been taught what historical Christianity is. And we haven't actually been taught how to sit down and look at a verse and see, are we interpreting this verse literally? Are we interpreting it according to basic grammar rules of Hebrew or Greek? Are we interpreting this verse according to using first century definitions of these words, or are we interpreting this verse using 18th, 19th, 20th century definitions of these words? So if we've never studied the etymology and the etymological changes made of words, then we assume that today's definition is always the same definition. But the person who, like me, for most of my Christian life, I had the following beliefs. To be right, a doctrine has to be the original historical doctrine. Evangelical doctrines are right. Therefore, my logical conclusion is that evangelical doctrines are the original historical doctrines. Now, if you shared those same beliefs as me, and you have watched the videos for the past week and a half, you have been confronted with the fact that evangelical doctrines are not historic. So now PSA is not a historical doctrine. So we now have an issue. We now have conflicting beliefs, and we have cognitive dissonance over this because we're like, wait. Original historical doctrines are right. Evangelical doctrines are right. Evangelical doctrines are not original or historic. We now have cognitive dissonance because we're now believing 3 or more conflicting beliefs. So we either dismiss the last 7 videos and say J.C. Lamont is out of her mind and a heretic and doesn't know what she's doing and is making an emotional argument and checked her brain at the door. And so we can reject it and go back to believing that evangelical doctrines are right. Okay, so now for the first time, you may be experiencing cognitive dissonance, the emotional discomfort from holding 2 conflicting beliefs. Deconstructionists have been feeling that emotional discomfort. They've been having cognitive dissonance. You're just feeling it for the very first time, and you're not sure what to do. You can join Team Deposit and believe that, okay, a doctrine does not have to be original or historic to be right. If you change that conflicting belief, then you are free to continue believing in that evangelical doctrines are right because you've removed conflicting belief number 1. I continued to believe that for a doctrine to be right, it has to be original and historic. Therefore, I decided the evangelical doctrine of PSA is not right. So I'm going to use this humorous analogy that I use in Deconstruction Masterclass to get this point across. All right, so belief number 1, eating healthfully is important to you and to me. Okay, eating healthfully is important to me. Belief number 2, eating a pint of ice cream in the evenings is the best way to relax after a long day. I have these 2 beliefs. I believe both of them 100%. Now, some people are not aware of the mental conflict caused by holding 2 different conflicting beliefs. They will employ strategies to not feel the cognitive dissonance. So one of these strategies could be denial. People often ignore or dismiss information that contradicts their existing beliefs. The diet industry only claims that ice cream is bad for you because they want to sell their own products and create unnecessary fear about food. So now you can believe that you're eating healthfully and you can have an entire pint of ice cream every night to relax. Another form of Another strategy to employ to rid yourself of cognitive dissonance is confirmation bias. People have a natural tendency to seek out information that confirms their existing beliefs. They will read books, watch YouTube videos, or listen to podcasts that support what they already believe to be true. Perhaps you read an article in a health magazine that talks about how milk and milk-based products are helpful. All the benefits of consuming dairy. This confirms to you that eating a pint of ice cream every evening is healthy, or confirms to me. Okay, another strategy employed is compartmentalization. By separating the two conflicting beliefs into different compartments, both beliefs can be maintained without directly confronting their contradictions. All right, so in this we have the eating healthful compartment, in which throughout the day I eat fruits and vegetables and drink lots of water and stay away from all fried foods. So there's my healthful eating is important to me compartment. In the eating ice cream compartment, even if the ice cream isn't the healthiest option, all of the other food choices are, and you deserve a treat, and so that is your eating ice cream compartment. Another strategy employed is called rationalization. You construct seemingly logical explanations for holding to conflicting beliefs, and this helps to reduce the mental discomfort caused by the inconsistency. This makes contradictory beliefs or actions seem more compatible or less problematic. All right, so ice cream stimulates dopamine, which reduces stress and aids in mood and aids in sleep and reduces stress. Therefore, I have rationalized why I can eat ice cream. The final strategy we will look at is intellectual evasion. Shifting the responsibility onto another person avoids the responsibility of providing an explanation. So this one says ice cream causes cancer. This one says ice cream cures cancer. The reports are all conflicting. It's not my fault. It's impossible to know the truth. Therefore, I'm going to eat ice cream, a pint of ice cream every night, because it's impossible to know whether that's healthful or not. Okay, so they are the dominant strategies employed to deal with the cognitive dissonance without deconstructing. These are the strategies that the person who is not deconstructing employs. These strategies help to reduce or eliminate the emotional discomfort felt. So now the person doesn't have emotional comfort. So now when the person who is deconstructing voices the cognitive dissonance that they feel, the person who has employed these strategies and doesn't feel the emotion accuses the deconstructionist of it being an emotional argument, because they genuinely don't feel that emotion, because they've employed the strategies that have reduced it or eliminated it. Now, for the deconstructionist, one of the conflicting beliefs needs to be deleted. So in option A, belief number 1, eating healthfully is important to me. Belief number 2, eating a pint of ice cream is not the most healthful way to relax. They have now deleted belief number 2. They are now do not hold conflicting beliefs, so they do not have cognitive dissonance. They have resolved the problem. They have not employed a strategy to not feel the problem. They have actually eliminated the problem. So in that scenario, they deleted belief number 2. In option B, you can delete conflicting belief number 1. Eating healthfully is not overly important to me. Eating a pint of ice cream is the best way for me to relax. So in this option, the person recognizes that eating healthy is just not that important. They're going to be fat and happy, and they're going to enjoy their ice cream every night, and they're not going to care if they wear a size 12 or 14 or whatever they were from eating ice cream all night. But again, they have eliminated the conflicting belief. They now hold logical beliefs. And because their beliefs are logical and internally consistent, they do not have cognitive dissonance. There is no emotional component. And so that is what deconstruction is. Deconstruction is eliminating the conflicting belief. One of the conflicting beliefs. That is what deconstruction is. So deconstruction is examining, it's a rejection of a strategy and an eliminating of one of the conflicting beliefs. Now, you can eliminate a belief that leads you to atheism, or you can eliminate a belief that leads you to a different Christianity than the one that you were taught. All right, so let's move this into a theological scenario. I'm going to, instead of choosing PSA because it's rife with tension, let's just pick something that I hope most people will find humorous. All right, so we have belief number 1, the Bible is true. Belief number 2, the Bible says Jesus didn't sin. Belief number 3, the Bible says drinking alcohol is a sin. Belief number 4, the Bible says Jesus drank wine at the Last Supper and turned water into wine at the wedding in Cana. Now, cognitive dissonance results, at least on the mental conflict here, because the Bible says that Jesus drank wine at the Last Supper when he initiated the Eucharist. So if Jesus drank wine, but Jesus can't sin, now, and drinking is a sin, we have a problem. We have conflicting beliefs. So the first strategy that can be employed is denial. Jesus didn't drink wine at the Last Supper or turn water into wine. It was unfermented grape juice. Now, new information comes along that in 1869, Dr. Welsh invented the pasteurized grape juice to create a non-alcoholic option for the Eucharist to align with the temperance movement. The Eucharist now had unfermented grape juice instead of wine for the first time in over 1,800 years of church history. Some people will continue to be in denial about this. That information, they will believe that that information about Dr. Welsh is an invention by people who want to justify their sin of drinking wine at the Eucharist. Okay, so there's denial. There's the strategy of denial employed. Like I said, I'm trying to keep this one humorous. All right, so then we have compartmentalization. Compartmentalization keeps the conflicting beliefs separate and avoids deeper theological exploration and understanding. All right, so in Jesus's day, wine was a staple drink because the water was unhealthy. Okay, so you have Jesus's wine drinking compartment. Jesus was forced to drink wine because the alcohol in the wine got rid of all the horribleness. Okay, and so they would mix wine with water. Okay, so number 1, it was very diluted and practically non-alcoholic. However, it was alcoholic enough that it cured all the bacteria, or killed all the curing bacteria. It killed all the bacteria in the water okay? And so now Jesus drinks it for health reasons. And if he had lived today when water was purified, he would not. And so drinking wine in Jesus' day was not a sin, and drinking wine today is a sin, and there's your 2 compartments. Wine drinking in the 1st century versus the wine drinking in the 1st century compartment versus wine drinking in the 21st century compartment. All right, so then we have rationalization. In our analogy, this would be the belief that the explanation that in the 1st century, someone had developed the pasteurization process that prevented grape juice from fermenting, enabling the grape juice that was trampled during the summer grape harvest to still be non-fermented by the late spring when Passover was celebrated. That technology was somehow lost and not rediscovered again until Dr. Welsh in 1869. So there you have rationalization. All right, so our last one is intellectual evasion. There is a tendency among certain evangelical sects to appeal to divine mystery. So when all else fails and no strategy that is employed to eliminate the cognitive dissonance, we can say it's a paradox. It's a divine mystery. It's shifting the blame onto God. Well, God didn't reveal it to us. It's a divine mystery, and we just have to have faith and continue to believe this conflicting belief because the Bible clearly teaches both. And so, Jesus didn't sin. Drinking is a sin. Jesus didn't sin. It's a divine mystery. How both can be true. Someone were to say, God's ways are not our ways, and his thoughts are not our thoughts. He understands how Jesus drank unfermented grape juice 10 months after the harvest, even though that transcends human logic. So those were the strategies employed to try to get rid of the emotional discomfort or the mental conflict caused by the conflicting beliefs that the Bible is true. The Bible says Jesus didn't sin. The Bible says drinking alcohol is a sin. The Bible says Jesus drank wine at the Last Supper and turned water into wine at the wedding in Cana. So we have 4 beliefs. They conflict. They're the various strategies a person can employ to continue to believe in all 4 of those beliefs. Now, the deconstructionist is going to eliminate one of those beliefs so that his beliefs are no longer contradictory. He's going to actually fix the problem, not simply employ a strategy, which is like just slapping a Band-Aid on it when it needs stitches. So there are 3 primary destinations a person can arrive at after they deconstruct. So in option A, the belief that Jesus didn't sin changes to Jesus sinned. Since Jesus sinned, he was not who he says he was. Since he's not who he says he was, Christianity is false. This person who the person who deconstructs and chooses to eliminate that belief becomes an atheist. In option B, the belief that changes is the belief that the Bible is true. And it changes to the Bible is contradictory and cannot be trusted. Since the Bible is not true in that area, it may not also be true in other areas, which means this person continues to believe in God and continues to believe in Jesus, but they no longer view the Bible as authoritative. They have to seek whether drinking is correct, whether drinking is a sin or not from the culture, because they can no longer look to the Bible for that because the Bible is contradictory. This is what happens when a person is absolutely convinced that the Bible teaches something it doesn't. In option C, the belief that the Bible teaches drinking is a sin changes to the belief that drinking is a sin is an interpretation. That is door number 3. That is the option that allows you to continue to view the Bible in high authority and allows you to continue to be a Christian. You don't have to choose between atheism and cognitive dissonance. You don't have to choose between holding conflicting beliefs and force yourself to employ a strategy. You can actually remain a Christian who believes in the authority of the Bible, but rid yourself of the conflicting belief. This person changes the belief to drinking wine in moderation is not a sin. Drinking wine in excess is a sin. Jesus did not sin, therefore Jesus did not drink in excess. Jesus must have drank in moderation. Now, this person seeks a community of like-minded Christians with whom to worship and fellowship. If they cannot find this, they often remain in their current church in silence without voicing their changed beliefs for fear of judgment or rejection. Or they leave church and become what is known as the dechurched. All 3 options that actually change the conflicting belief eliminate the logical inconsistencies caused by holding those conflicting beliefs. So you can reject Christianity altogether, remain a Christian but reject the authority of the Bible and seek your moral guidance elsewhere, such as the culture, because you have no other choice, because you've been so convinced that the Bible actually teaches these things that it's not your fault. Where else are you going to go? Or you realize that where else are you going to look if the Bible is taken away from you? If the Bible's, it's there. What kills me is that people aren't rejecting the authority of the Bible because they want to. People are being forced to lose the authority of the Bible. It's being taken from them. They're not rejecting it. It's being taken from them because of how many well-meaning people are insisting the Bible clearly teaches these evangelical doctrines like PSA. So options A and B, the deconstructionist who decides Jesus sinned and so Christianity is false, and option B, the Bible can't be trusted, both illustrate the extreme danger of insisting that the Bible clearly teaches something that in reality is only an interpretation that is not even historical. And as we'll see next week, not even exegetical. I feel like I did this video too early, but whatever. All right, so the decision to become an atheist or to reject the Bible's authority stems from having been fully convinced that an interpretation of the text represented the text itself. The deconstruction movement is a result of people being indoctrinated to believe the Bible clearly teaches something it does not, who then feel compelled to make significant and sometimes salvific choices based on that indoctrination. Option C, the option that I am trying to equip you with, the option that I call door number 3, is the only option that allows the individual to resolve the cognitive dissonance without abandoning their faith or rejecting the Bible's authority. That is what this channel is about. This channel is for all deconstructionists out there, all people who feel that cognitive dissonance and don't want to employ a strategy. You want to fix the actual problem. You want to eliminate the conflicting belief. And some of you are dying inside. Some of you who are deconstructing, it's killing you inside because you're battling between trying to decide whether you're going to reject it all or just reject the Bible. And there's a part of you that's like, if you reject the Bible, if you reject the authority of the Bible, why even hang on? And so you are struggling and it's killing you, and you were not aware of option C. And that's what this channel is all about. This channel is about equipping you to understand there is a door number 3, that you have another option. And it is, ironically, historical and biblical Christianity. And this channel will equip you to defend that to yourself and to others if need be. So I hope someone really needed that today. And I hope that if you are a deconstructionist and you have been accused of being emotional, you've been accused of rejecting the authority of the Bible, you've been accused of wanting to justify your sin, and none of that has been true. All you have wanted is to to eliminate the cognitive dissonance by actually eliminating one of the conflicting beliefs and have a theological system that is internally consistent, logical, and does not slander the character of God. And hopefully this video has brought you relief and comfort and hope. Hope that there really is a door number 3. I call it Paleo Christianity, and you're not alone. All right, until next time, keep standing firm.